what are some of the common challenges that you see people having before they even start the Sinclair Method?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that of course, that's the initial stage of the process. So if it doesn't, if there's a challenge that can't be overcome at that stage, of course, they will never continue down the path. In general, the awareness and knowledge of the Sinclair Method prior to telehealth, but initially with the internet, has made just becoming aware of it. The likelihood of someone saying, I've never heard of this, or why haven't I heard of this, which is still very common, but that is decreasing as people have success with it. And I would say, really, if you want to put your finger on a single thing that has made lowered that barrier, it would be Claudia's YouTube video. We have seen thousands of people by now, and it is really the single thread through most people's introduction to the Sinclair Method is through that video. So just in terms of being aware that there's an alternative, that's the first step, because otherwise, through kind of leading up to that point in their life where they decided that they wanted help, it would not have included the Sinclair Method. AA or some other type of program. And of course, the Sinclair Method would not have been a component of any medical training or nurse practitioner training or psychotherapy training or anything like that as well. So it's not something that even another professional that they were reaching out to would have brought to their attention. So if you're thinking of 2015, the biggest barrier was certainly just being aware that this was even a possibility. But I feel like that is being chipped away. If you look at Google searches for Sinclair Method, if you look at just the number of visitors to a particular YouTube video about anything related to the Sinclair Method, those types of things. So people are more, so awareness being the kind of first barrier, people are definitely more aware of it. And kind of a part of that too is people are very excited about the Sinclair Method. I've had so many patients through the years who want to write articles and want to be a part of promoting awareness of the Sinclair Method. So that's one thing that really gives me hope, is that kind of the inevitability of it, the way I see it, is that because it actually is very effective, that people want to talk about it. Despite the stigma, people want to share their stories. So I think since 2015, that very first barrier, which is just being aware of this, has really started to crumble.
And in your opinion, what more can be done to help get that challenge out of the way?
Well, I think as the next wave, from the medical or kind of from the healthcare community, the next wave of providers will have this as a part of their training. When I was at Vanderbilt, we knew of, Naltrexone was FDA approved in '94, so it wasn't that this was not mentioned, or it wasn't something that was part of a test we may have taken in terms of side effects. I mean, we knew what naltrexone was and how it was used. There was almost a dismissive attitude towards it, because as we now know from the Sinclair Method, the way that it was, its use, the way it was promoted by the FDA and others at the time, what really was not effective or ineffective. So there was the dismissiveness about naltrexone at the time turns out to be appropriately placed. It turned out, there wasn't a lot of confidence in it at the time. So, this next wave of physicians, of nurse practitioners, of psychologists, of social workers, of coaches, of all stripes, it's going to just start be something that when they're doing their own research, they're going to stumble upon it. The likelihood of having heard of the Sinclair Method is just going to increase. And once you have one provider, even a family doctor, a family doctor is certainly going to run across people who have some level of drinking that is problematic, and just one doctor might see hundreds, if not thousands, of people that they can now introduce this to. So I think it's and of course it can grow exponentially as well, just by having one person tell another person, then two people tell. And so I think it's going to reach some level where it really just takes off, and whether it be Claudia or whether it be another celebrity or athlete, or it happens to wind up on some type of media, something that goes viral, just something like that. It's not going to take much, I think, for it to really just become kind of part of the awareness of your average American or Australian or whoever.